This is the second conversation we are having live streaming today, and it sounds like the turkey's done. So welcome to the chat. This is a small talk with big thinkers. Today we have already chatted about sex. If you missed it, sorry. Don't miss another one. This conversation with Susan Shloss, we are talking about money. And then tomorrow we will be talking about politics with Abby Green, because spoiler alert, we love talking about money, sex, and politics on the Backstage Pass. But today, let's just, or at least in this moment, let's just talk about money. Specifically, the way Susan has approached money and what she's really doing for women, femme-identified folks who are interested in getting smarter with their money. So Susan, tell us a little bit about what you're up to in the world and why you care so much about money. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. So it isn't so much money that I care about. It is that I care about women being empowered around their money, having confidence and ease around their money, and breaking through whatever's in the way of them being able to experience those things. And so I work with women from all backgrounds to help shift their patterns of avoidance, anxiety, overspending, under earning, so that they really can open up to that life that is in their visions.
Totally. So important, I think, especially as you say, when it kind of shifts maybe what we think is possible, and not just because we want to add another zero to our bank account, meaning after after the comma, right? Meaning, right, like in increasing our income, increasing our net worth, increasing our savings. Like those are all great milestones along the way. But what I hear you saying is like it's more of a philosophy and consideration than just a how can I make six figures in 6 months kind of thing. Because we know we've seen that all over the internet with like how to 10x your 10x and all these kinds of things. And to our friends who are tuning in here on the Backstage, you know, we are really calling for a different way of doing business. We want to use social media in different ways so that we can do better at increasing our wealth, our health, and all of the things. But we don't want to just talk about bottom line, right? We want to talk about putting the human before the purchase. And I appreciate so much that that's the work Susan does. We were connected by our dear friend Berhenda Williams up in Detroit, who runs the Power of Girlhood, who definitely is encouraging younger women to really step into their own. And so talk to us a little bit, Susan, about what you have been working with around like this wisdom piece of sort of, I imagine it's a little bit like squats, right? Like if I want to have a nice tush, I need to do squats. So if I want to have a healthy mindset, a healthy relationship with money, I have to do some exercises. So tell us a little bit about that, like regime, that workout regime, how that might look, and maybe share a success story if you don't mind, in how you've created these tools and how they work.
Absolutely. So I do have a framework that I work with, and one of the foundations of that, first of all, is self-care, because when we're resourced, we can truly come forward authentically and bring what we're passionate about to the world and invite our prosperity to come in from that. And so that self-care foundation is super important. And then we dive into your history, and you go through every year of your life and look at your money memories so that you can really integrate all of that and have some healing around it. It's very cathartic and very powerful. And looking at your parents' patterns or any other significant adults who influenced you, and you'll find that in some cases, those patterns that you grew up around went into your nervous system and you're reenacting them. In other cases, you rejected those. So you'll get all that insight into where your patterns came from. And then we identify money archetypes that are operating in those different patterns that you have in your money. For example, if you're someone who really has anxiety, even dealing with money, looking at your numbers, opening your mail, things like that, that's the money innocent. And so she needs to take little baby steps and slowly gain her confidence. in her
Mm,
relationship with money.
mm. Right, so it sounds like everybody kinda has their own, my mom would say, bag of rocks, or sort of like what we're carrying around as far as like, "Yeah, this is how we do it, it's fine." And it's like, "How is that helping? Is that heavy? Is that light?" Like,
Right.
where are you kind of like enjoying that or not enjoying that? And I know for me, like my family's like, first of all, we didn't talk about money, and if we did talk about it, it was like, "We'll talk about it later when your father's not around," right? Or like if we went and bought
Mhm.
like some new clothes for school, we would leave them in the trunk because we didn't want to hear any kickback on like spending too much money, right? Even if it was something we really needed. And so I know that I have some behaviors as a result of those like family behaviors, not to mention the family behavior, those folks based on their, their parents. So it's generational often, right? And so what are the things that we can do when we want to get rid of some of that heavy bag of rocks of generational stuff that's standing in our way, right? And so I appreciate, because I'm on Susan's newsletter, which I think, what is it, each once a week, and there's usually so many, two or three different like events that are happening that are supportive to your mission. I like to say same mission, different copy. Susan has been kind enough to share some of our events that we have happening on the Backstage Pass, and I think that that really is, it's, first of all, thank you for doing that, but also it's a testament to how you perceive money, wealth, and health, and sort of this idea of collaboration around supporting a modern day woman in this time, in this era, in 2022, in, not just like, okay, let's move out some obstacles on checking your online banking, or let's, some of these sort of like tactile, like, okay, I did that, but there's also this piece about, if we're talking about our money more commonly, if we're experiencing and we're exchanging these ideas of what might be giving us sort of resistance, or we're friction in dealing with it, if we're collectively talking about it in groups, then maybe it's a little less taboo, and maybe I feel a little less like shameful in doing the thing that I think is bad. It's like not actually that bad that I've made up a story, that is to say, about it, versus it being really inherently bad, whatever it is, right? Like getting the books in order. Today, I finally called the IRS today, Susan. I've been meaning to call them for 2 months, because they're like, we didn't get this payment. I'm like, I have the receipt right here, right? It's just a matter of like actually engaging with something that's like, I just don't want to talk to those people about those things, right? And so let's talk a little bit about how you collaborate around this idea of like making money a more approachable topic, just like we love to do on the Backstage Pass.
Yeah. So in my program, in my events, we create a very sacred container, and that's a big part of it, is bringing spirituality into it. That helps to create that safety. And there's a strong intention of bringing compassion to the whole subject and non-judgment.
Hmm.
And in the program, women are all sharing their experiences. And so you're hearing things that you might resonate with, and also being held by the whole group. So, exactly what you're talking about. And now I'm also expanding so that the women can network with each other, or set up times that they can be buddies and work on their stuff together. So, that feels like a really beautiful addition to how it works. And as far as collaboration with other professionals and getting the word out, I love providing resources that will support women in all areas of their lives, and especially in their money journey. So if there's an area that I don't cover, for example, investments, I know the basics, and I can absolutely support people in getting started with that. But and real estate is another area that I'm not an expert in, and so I have a woman that I'm partnering with to help people get to that information.
Mhm.
And it's great to move from that competitive, kind of fearful place to, wow, there's enough for all of us, and we
Mhm.
all have a unique gift that might resonate for different people.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, totally. I love that. And actually, let's I want to put a pin in that scarcity idea, because let's just call BS on it. I'm going to go back to that in a second.
Yeah.
But also, first, in this idea of collaboration, I like to think I know a lot, but I don't know everything, right? And you're giving a great example of like, well, there are particular pieces around money that you want to get in front of an expert, particularly somebody who might give you a little more empathy than just, your run of the mill walk into the bank and you're like, right. And what I've noticed most certainly, whether it's talking about money, sex, or politics, all of these things feel much more safe and less taboo when we're doing that in community of folks that are like, you know what, I'm gonna be a little vulnerable here, but this feels a little funny. We kind of make that safe space, and I've noticed that about the programming that you offer, and most certainly that's very similar to what we're putting out on the Backstage Pass, as we want to have one centralized place. I should say decentralized place, right? Because we're looking at going away from places like Facebook when we could find a community that is of like-minded folks that are really interested in focusing together on these conversations that are otherwise taboo: money, sex, and politics. And so, going back to what you'd mentioned, Susan, about scarcity, right? And that there isn't sometimes, well, you didn't say this, you said that there's plenty, right? And this idea that, at least I think, has been like pumped into my psyche since I was a little girl, that there's not enough money out there. And so I have to like I should be lucky that I have what I have. I should be grateful for it. And I remember one time, I've only had a few jobs in my life, but one time when I wasn't working for myself and I was working for someone else, I'd done a really good job working for them, and I was asking for a raise. I was asking for a raise on my commission based job. Like, I was only making commission, right? And this guy, he said, well, Rose, if I give you another 25 cents to your or percent, 25%, whatever, if I increase your percent, then you'll want more next time. And next time you'll want more and you'll want more. And will it ever be enough? After I was done rolling my eyes from the back of my head, I was like, yeah, but aren't I supposed to want more, right? Isn't that the driving force? If, like, I do a better job, I get paid more money, right? But what I heard him also say was that there's just not going to be enough money for you to get what you want. And I don't work for that guy anymore, right? Because I don't see glass ceilings. I see the sky as the limit. And so what I hear you say is like, we're getting rid of this idea that there's not enough for all of us. And in fact, opening up doors to find where those things exist by helping people kind of see the door in the first place. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the money type that you're describing that feels like there's never enough is the money tyrant. And
Mm,
so moving from that dynamic of fear and kind of clinging to the money magician who really has that connection to the universal abundance. And,
mhm.
we need to include the practical with that, but touching in on the spiritual level and that place inside ourselves that is limitless
Mhm.
can really help bring that sense of trust and ease. And I love too what you're talking about of your own vision of abundance and your own sense of openness to possibility
Mhm.
and no ceiling on what's
Right.
possible.
Well, it's almost like when, and I don't know about this for everybody, but for me, if I hear someone say, "No, that's simply not possible," I'm like, "Here, hold my purse." Because, like, I not only wanna, like, see that it is possible, like, I kinda wanna prove them wrong if they think it's not possible. Not just from, like, an ego. There's a little ego in there, but there's also just like a, "Are you sure?" 'Cause, I guess that's the magician, is like, the possibilities are endless. Now, sometimes there are some things you have to take in consideration. You can't just blow through life like whatever, sort of willy-nilly. But what I hear you say is we are probably operating out of various archetypes at different times, and can we
Mhm.
learn to maybe recognize who's who's got the wheel, who's driving when, yeah?
Exactly, that's totally the key, and calling in those energies that we want to be driving. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So talk to us a little bit about something you've got coming up. I'm really excited about the title of this programming.
So a couple things. Yeah, Becoming the Matriarch is a summit that I'm participating in this week. We're doing an opening ceremony at 10 a.m. Pacific tomorrow. That'll be 1 o'clock Eastern. And we've got 28 speakers. I'm going to be part of a panel for women's empowerment on Thursday. And there's all kinds of beautiful material and really amazing women who will be offering their wisdom. My topic is, when I'm in my interview, is money wisdom from a matriarch for women in midlife. And You know, when we're in midlife, there are some issues that come up that might be a little bit different from other times in our adult life. So I've got some wisdom around that to share with you.
Cool. I'm really excited. And that begins tomorrow and goes through the 21st, right? So
I think it's 4 days. So yeah, something like that.
Tuesday, tomorrow's the 18th. Yeah, 18th through, so Tuesday through Friday, it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this link right here on the screen, y'all, has all the details. And I just want to shout out because the word matriarchy even often gets like my spelling check will catch it like, do you mean to spell that? Do you mean patriarchy? I'm like, yes, I mean to say matriarchy. Like even my spell check wants to mansplain that like I don't probably mean that. I'm like, oh yes, I do. And so
Right.
isn't that funny, right? And matriarch, of course, is when ma, like the mother, the feminine is elevated, regal, right? Patriarchy is the paternal, matriarchal is the ma, the maternal. And I just want to take a moment and make sure that everybody knows, like we don't want to say the men may not have the money, please, right? Like we'd like to close the wage gap. We'd like to make sure that if a woman is in any situation where she needs to extract herself, take her kids somewhere else, move to a new place, whatever it is, upgrade her life, she has the tools and the resources to do that. Because in many places in the United States and the world around, that's just simply not the case because the patriarch has had the money, has had the hands on the purse, and the matriarch has not, which is ironic, particularly in this country, because 83% of our population, that's women, 83% or women have 83% of the purchasing power. Right? Let me rephrase that, right? That means that we have our hands on the spending power of 83% of this economy. So then let's act like it, right? Like, let's get these ideas out of our head that like we can't, we shouldn't, we couldn't, or we're scared, or any of these archetypes that Susan mentions, particularly on becoming the matriarch of your money. So super, super love that. I want to point to an event we've got coming up on the Backstage, and Susan will be joining us as well. Wednesday, the day after tomorrow, the 19th at 8 p.m., we will be hosting our 1-year celebration, which is a great opportunity to come over to our digital space and have a little dance party with us. We'll also be hearing from many of our founding members like Susan, who've been around for the last year, supporting us through awesome conversations like this, as well as just sharing awesome resources on the Backstage Pass. So if you have not yet, definitely RSVP. I'm going to drop a little RSVP link in the chat as well, or not in the chat, rather in the screen. So don't miss that, coming up Wednesday night, 8 p.m. So Susan, as we wrap up here, give us a little something or another. We know you've got lots of programming coming up with this Becoming the Matriarch. We see you all over with your newsletters. Definitely subscribe to our newsletters, y'all. But any closing words, anything that you're like just really, really fired up about right now that you want to share with our listeners?
I am super excited also about this event coming up, and I don't know if you can get that on the screen. My Money Wisdom Circle that is coming up on Friday, October 28th, 7 rituals to change your money story. And you'll have the experience of walking through some of those elements that I was talking about earlier and learning how to bring sacredness to the practical side as well and digging into your numbers. So I'd love to have you join me for that.
Okay, cool. Let me pop that link in here. I'm multitasking. So good at multitasking on air. Hold on one sec. Super cool. That's great. And I'm really jazzed because our friend Berhenda has connected us. And when Berhenda tells me I need to meet somebody, I'm just like, yes, ma'am, because B has just such an incredible network of badass women, but she also isn't playing, right? So she'll tell me sometimes when I'm having my sort of crisis of faith of like, is this crazy mission even worth it? And she's like, girl, like look around, look at all these other women who are doing, like I said, same mission, different copy, right? So we know that when there are more women who take full autonomy in their money, in their sex, and we don't just mean like having the sex, we mean like from, gender to consent to our autonomy around the laws around our body, things like that. on into politics, we know that we actually will have a more progressive world. Now, we know that also, I'm going to say that just because we put pink on the patriarchy, right? Like just because we're like, well, I'm a woman, I could still potentially have some of these same sorts of, I don't know, sort of power over dynamic that we see in the world today that we're trying to get away from. And so we're being very mindful that when we speak about money, when we speak about sex, when we speak about politics, we're getting as many perspectives as possible that help us have a dialogue and a conversation so that we can go and make actions and make changes and not just like be armchair philosophizers about like, wouldn't it be cool if I could, or wouldn't it be neat? And also worth note, right? Like it wasn't, but you probably know better on dates, Susan, but I mean, the fact that women can open their own bank accounts, right? Drive our own cars, purchase land. For Black and brown women, this was more recent than for white women, but still, it's just been in the last 100 years, right? So we have made progress. We have to notice where we've made progress. And I'm, for one, not willing to just be like, well, that's good. We should be good, right? Like, no, 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 no. We need to kind of keep the pace so that the wage gap is closed, so that there's no oppressive power over dynamic in any spaces, right? And so I'm just super thrilled, Susan, that you are doing the work you're doing. I'm glad Brenda connected us. I'm so sad Christian couldn't join us. This was going to be a collaborative chat with our mutual friend Christian, but hopefully we can maybe bring her to the pod when we do the next recording, you and I, Susan. I'll be excited to see you at the 1 year dance party on Wednesday night. And just thank you again, as always, on showing up and doing the work to, help propel a more woman-led world.
Thank you, Rose, for your leadership and your beautiful, creative way that you're bringing it to the world.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I hope you have an awesome week, and I will see you Wednesday night at that digital dance party, Susan.
All right. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Ciao for now. All right, everyone. Well, you've met another amazing person doing amazing things in the world. This lady boss, Susan Shloss, is doing great, great things around mindset of money and what these archetypes that might be like sort of taking over and backseat driving your access to health and wealth. So definitely check out Becoming the Matriarch. And last call, don't forget to RSVP to the digital dance party. It is happening Wednesday night, 8 p.m. EST. It'll be just about an hour or so. We've got an awesome, awesome DJ set for you. We've got giveaways from Adora Therapy, Rage Green Cocktails, some of that LBI swag. If I didn't do my hair today, I'd be wearing my gold cap. So lots of goodies. So make sure to click this link and RSVP today. We had 2 chats, one on money, one on sex today. I mean, that's a lot, right? So I'm going to hold that political chat for tomorrow. Same time, same channel, 2 p.m. EST. And then, of course, Wednesday night on that digital dance party. So ciao for now. I will catch you later.